welcome back. More Digital Gate Studios content. Doing another deck profile for you. What'd you bring, Basil?
For whatever reason, an extremely hotly requested deck profile. So during the Digital Gate Studios hiatus, BT16 and EX6 has come and gone.
Yep.
And this was one deck that I was really excited for in that BT16 format. And I didn't realize exactly what the deck was going to be. And so it turns out that this is kind of how the deck ended up. And for those of you who are wondering, in our Discord, you can ask for deck profiles. And the people wanted it, and here it is. So this is the BT16 Shakk deck profile.
This is a very cool deck. It looks like a lot of fun to play. I kind of hate playing against it. I'm not gonna lie.
And we will get into.
We'll talk about why later.
It is a tricky number.
Yeah.
We'll start off simple with the egg, starting with 4 copies of the Upamon, BT16 Upamon. While this Digimon is multicolored, gains blocker. It is very important that once we have DNA'd into our Shakk, that he is a blocker. That's kind of the key component of this deck. And basically the amount of monocolor cards in this deck are very, very low, even down to the rookie. So once you have made a Digimon, it is going to be a blocker.
Yeah, we're getting to the point in the game where there's a lot less monocolored past rookies.
This is true. And even some of our rookies are 2-color. So we're going to start off with, obviously, some armadillos. This is the BT16 armadillo. For those of you who are Vmon freaks, this is the analog to the red-blue Vmon. So it evolves on an Upamon for 0. It has a memory gain when one of your other free Digimon is played or digivolved into. I also want to note that it also counts yellow cards. There are some non-free cards in the deck that are yellow, and we'll get into that in a moment. The inheritable all turns 1k, very good. We're swinging a lot, and we are blocking a lot, so that all turns DP does come up.
It makes a big difference.
We'll continue with some more armadillos, because that is the way that this deck is. The first is the promo Armadillomon. This is the first of our searchers in the deck. Searches for a Cody and any 2-color or more yellow or black, and then end of turn Jogress. You need a lot of search in this deck because the nature of the deck is that you can't really just play yellow memory boost or yellow training and expect to see every piece, because this is a mono black card. So if your turn 1 is evolve this armadillo and then you want to play physical training, you would not be able to because you don't have a yellow source. So the nature of this deck, kind of the way that Imperial is you really just want to be searching with your Digimon in lieu of those memory boost consistency cards.
And this is the real reason we waited to get the deck profile as we're waiting on that premium Bandai, right?
We were waiting on the premium Bandai, true. Continuing on with more searching armadillos. This is the old BT8 armadillo. Searches for a 2-color yellow card. Doesn't say Digimon. So this will grab your Tamers and some of your options. No inheritable, which is pretty sad, but we do need that search.
Oh, yeah.
And then rounding off our rookies with 2 cards that are not named Armadillomon, which is 2 of the promo Patamon. This card is one that I try to put in any deck that I can. I think extremely highly of this card.
Very good.
Being able to search your security stack with the Tamer playing this for free is really strong. It's going to help because our security is not very strong in this deck. Obviously, we have a pretty hefty rookie lineup. So being able to grab this rookie out, a level 4 that you're missing out of security, and then being able to plan around what is in your security in the future is extremely strong.
Just knowing what's in there can be an advantage in its own.
Yes. As well as negging our opponent's security when we swing, ensuring that our level 5s and up live when they attack is really nice.
It's a good card.
Now, we'll get into the sleeper best card in this deck. And when I say that, I mean it. It is the BT16 Ankyomon. This card is insane, actually. So it's first of all, it's barrier. So this is actually going to be how we do damage in this deck most of the time. Is we are going to promote it, and kind of like the jamming XV in Imperial, we're just going to swing with it. It's going to die most of the time because it's only 4K. If we've got the Armadillo, it's 5K. But it is generally swinging at 4K, which is not very good. It's going to lose most battles with level 4s in security. Then you just barrier, and you're perfectly fine with that. Because it's suspended, obviously, after it died. We're going to burn top security, which is probably another rookie, so it doesn't really matter. And then we're just going to DNA to restand it. So this card is extremely strong. And then on top of that, it also has a skill on plane when digivolving. Something can't attack players specifically. So they can attack Digimon. Not so good for them. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Turns out you don't always want to attack their Digimon.
Right.
Yeah.
And then inheritable plus 1000. Very, very nice. Continuing on to the card that kind of got me excited for this deck in the first place is the BT16 Sheepmon.
This is the one I thought you were going to say when you said best card in the deck. I'm not going to lie.
This is not the best card in the deck.
It's very
but
good,
this
though.
is one of my favorite cards in the deck. I think by this time the deck Storugoromon profile has been released from our channel. Collision is my favorite keyword in the game, bar none. I think collision is such a cool way that they are taking black. It's kind of forcing your opponent into a situation. And then the other interesting thing about this card is if you have something that you're forcing to block that you don't want to attack with as Sheepmon, Sheepmon says when an attack target is switched, end the attack.
Right?
You may. It is your choice. So
Yep.
if you want to swing and force a rookie to block, you can and kill it. But if you just want their level 6 turn sideways, then you can do it that way too. It's really good for a lot of reasons, as well as if you put it on top of the Upamon and as blocker, then they attack, you block, end the attack. It's an all-turn skill. A lot of skill expression with this card, and I love it very much. Now, a card that I never thought we'd get to play is the BT8 Submarine Mon. I know it's Submarimon, but I call it the Submarine Mon because look at it. Now, this card was originally in the deck at a higher value because of Numemon. Strip Numemon from Nume X, pop the Nume X. Very nice. Don't get their all turns on deletion skill. The reason that it is still in the deck at this number is because it's still good early aggression. You can have your armor form swing into security. If it dies, you can just put another level 4 on top of it. It kills early rookies, which is nice. Source Strip it's not targeted Source Strip because it's an old card. The real reason it's in the deck is look at this art. I mean, it's just tremendous.
I always love the design as a Digimon of Submarimon.
Yeah. I don't know why it's Gammamon in there. I'm not sure why.
I don't know. In the show, though, I think there was a scene where the Tamers in there.
I see. But anyhow, I love this card, and armor forms are relevant. We'll talk about that a little later.
They probably know why.
Last two level 4s in the deck are not Armadillo Evos, but Angemon. Angemon is really nice in this list. It obviously only evolves 4-2 on top of our 2 of Patamon here. But it is on plane when digivolving, unsuspend to level 4 or lower. If we have this Ankyomon, we swing, go into this Angemon, unsuspend it, swing again. We may have barriered twice, but that aggression is so important.
Oh, yeah.
Because then we can DNA, get another check with our level 5, or just be ready to be standing up, ready to answer our opponent's board. So, again, kind of a heavy bottom end here. 14 on the rookies. We've got 12 on the level 4s, but that's what's needed for a DNA deck. You want to be able to make sure that you can make...
Gotta have 2 stacks.
Gotta make sure you can make 2 stacks easily so that we can summon the
man
strongest
himself.
SR in BT16, Shakkomon. This card is awesome. I love this card so much. He's looking heavenly and golden. Patamon and Armadillomon there.
Yeah.
So if you don't know,
really good job on the alts in that set.
this BT16 was a banger. So Shakkomon, it has partition, which you all know what it does by this point. If it leaves the battle area of anything other than battle, spit out your Angemon and your Ankyomon. Which I do want to mention, Ankyomon does get that on play. So if they get rid of it, they bounce it with Mirage. Whatever the case, spit out the Ankyomon, the Mirage can attack. Very nice. Then it has, when digivolving, this part is not contingent on DNA. When you digivolve into it, unaffected by Digimon effects for that turn.
Yeah.
So that's really nice.
That's one of the best parts of the card, I think.
So you can stick this through whatever the case. Then if you DNA, you can chaos degrade something depending on your or your opponent's security. So if you still have 5, you DNA into this, you can put a level 5 into security. It kind of coincides with the Tamer. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But basically, you're going to be able to get something out of the board into their security and then know what that bottom security is, which is really important. Now this card, originally, this card was not in the deck, but there's just no reason not to put this in the deck because this guy does come up every now and then. So this is the old Shakkomon. So when digivolving, recover 1. So that's nice. So we can get up to 6 for our other Shakkomon. But then if you DNA, you can bounce something depending on the amount of security that you have.
Right.
Listen, it is worse than this Shakkomon. It just is. If we could play 5 or even 6 copies of the new one, we would. But we got to play this guy because he's great. He can shrink something when you attack, when you're on top of him into a Mega. And we just need a 5th DNA target, and this is what we got.
Really can't just stick at 4.
And now, if you were going to replace it, you would replace it with a different card. And the card that you would replace it with is the EX5 Edamon. Now, there's something that I need to let you guys all notice about these 2 level 5s in particular. And that is their color. They're black and yellow. At time of recording, black and yellow level 5s have 11 valid ace targets.
And at least half are pretty good.
And so that is sort of the direction that this deck takes in the top end.
Yeah.
We all know that the tribal aspect of this deck is to go into strictly the Vikemon. And that was my initial assessment, was just put in 4 Vikemon. That card's really strong. But then you really look at the pool of aces that these 2 cards have access to, and that's sort of what we've turned into, is 2 Vikemon, Valkyriemon Ace, Cherubimon Ace, and Mega Gargomon Ace. So let's analyze. We have an answer to every single deck in Digimon with this Ace lineup.
Yep.
Which is really awkward for your opponent to play against.
Not everyone can say that.
If they have a tall stack, you can either DP minus it by a huge amount, de-digivolve it twice, or whatever the case may be. If they have a wide board, Valkyriemon Ace will take care of it. If they've got Tamers you want to stun, Mega Gargo Ace is the way. This lineup is extremely malleable, and it can go in a number of different directions.
You can very easily adapt this to any meta you need to. I mean, going up-down ratios, and I mean, this is nowhere near the 11 we mentioned.
Right.
So there's a lot of options.
For example, Imperial is very strong right now.
Right.
Mega Gargo Ace is one of the strongest answers to Imperial right now. Because you evolve into it, you stun the Davis Ken, and you make it so the Pale can't evolve. So they can't make Dragon Mode, they can't go further up the line, and then they can't strip sources with the Davis Ken. Right. So if you're seeing a lot of Imperial, go up on the Mega Gargo. If you're seeing people play a bunch of wide boards, the Valkyrie Ace. If you want to stay tribal, stay on the Vikemon. And the reason that we're playing 2 of the Vikemon is because it evolves for 3 on our Shacks. So there are cases when you won't be able to set up a blast play. That's when the Vikemon comes in handy. You just evolve for 3 on top of your Shack, and you can get some damage in that way.
Yeah, with the protection that the yellow black Shakk gets, though, it's very difficult not to be able to just get to the point where, like, as an opponent, when I played against this deck, for me, it's always like, he's got 5 different aces. Which one's he got?
Can't deal
anything about the Shakk. I just got to swing and see what happens.
Now, we do have one last mega in the deck, and it's kind of our emergency button, and that is Magnamon X Antibody. Now, I did want to mention that if you wanted to make this deck as strong and as consistent as possible, there would probably be at least 3 copies of this card in the deck. But I really enjoy the sort of ace mind games that come with this deck.
Right.
But if you were thinking, God, I really want to compete at the highest level with this deck, you'd pick your favorite ace and put it at 3, and you'd pick your favorite Magnamon X Antibody and put it at 3.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we have the Sheepmon and the Submarimon, so we can always activate Magnamon X's skill.
I like it.
It's also gonna have 2 unique interactions. One, the Shakkomon, when attacking inheritable, is not once per turn, which in niche instances can come up. And the way that Partition and Armor Purge interact. So you can activate Partition and then activate Armor Purge. So you can spit out your level 4s and then purge it down to the Shakk. So if they do manage to out the Magnamon X, you don't have protection, whatever the case may be. You still have 3 bodies on the board, which is not so easy to deal with. So that's it for the Digimon. No level 7 in this deck. Again, another card that is quite good in this list is Ruin Mode, is Death X, is etc. These are level 7s you all know and love. Put them in the deck if you want. 3 Tamers in the deck. 3 copies of Cody and TK. Originally, this was 4. But different from the Davis and Ken in Imperial, it's just a little bit harder to get massive value out of.
Right.
The difference between D-Digivolve 1 and D-Digivolve 2 is not the same as the difference between Strip 3 and Strip 6. If it is getting D-Digivolved by 1, it's going to be able to be answered by Shakk, by Edamon, or by any of our aces. So the extra Cody and TKs are nice, but not as game-breaking as the Davis and Ken.
That makes sense.
A couple other cards to mention in the Tamer slot. The first is the Cody promo. The reason that it's a little bit worse is because we run out of cards pretty quickly in the hand. So where the promo Davis and promo Vmon strategy, it has a little bit better synergy because of the promo Vmon's draw ability.
Right.
And we just don't have access to draw. We have blocker on our egg instead of draw. We don't have draw on any of our rookies. So running out of cards in the hand is a problem you do find. And then Setter TK is another card that you can think about playing in this deck. It is very good, but I ended up just sticking with the Cody and TK because I wanted to make room for some options. The first is 2 copies of Physical Training. Now, this card is pretty good. Trainings are pretty good, but it's a little bit worse in this list than a lot of other cards. This is going to be 2 copies of Yellow Scramble when we get it. But for now, it's 2 copies of Yellow Training. It grabs all of your rookies besides Armadillo, grabs all of your cards here, misses on our Vikemon and our Mega Gargo. Other than that, grabs all your Digimon. Trainings are good cards.
Can't go wrong with those.
Speaking of good cards, Reinforcing Memory Boost. Like I said, our security is not very good in this list. A lot of the times you are putting something into security like a 1K rookie, but Delay Gain 3 is quite nice.
Yep.
2 cards in the deck that I just love. I just love this card so much is Advent of the Ancient Steel Angel. This card is very important to have in certain matchups because we do need to get ourselves to 5 or 6 security to deal with certain Digimon. So if we're at 4 and they have a Mega, we Advent of the Ancient Steel Angel, we de-digivolve that with the Cody TK, and then we put it into security with the Shakk. It's a huge play. And then out of security, play one of your rookies from hand or trash, and then add to hand. Very, very strong.
Good card.
2 more cards in the deck. 2 black cards, not black yellow. The first is Trident Arm. This is our backup to the Edimon. And this is our answer to cards that say unaffected by Digimon effects specifically. So if you're running into your Tyrants, your Ragnar Lordmons, your stuff like that, try and arm that to force the attack rather than the Edimon. And then we need a little bit of offense in the list. So we got 1 copy of Final Zubagon Punch. If we are into any of these cards with at least 1 copy of Ankyomon or 1 copy of Armadillo, we're at our 13k threshold. And then giving it blocker is a little bit redundant with our egg, but that reboot is quite nice. So we're going to be doing 2 checks at 16. We're going to resolve if we're Magnamon or Mega Gargo, it's going to be 4 checks at 16. Then get that reboot blocker going. Guys, this is one of my favorite children in recent memory. This deck is tons of fun. And just, if you put it together, make a Shakkomon and watch your opponent squirm. They'll be doing mental gymnastics trying to figure out what the best answer is. And often they will pick wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's a relatively big body with blocker that you can't get rid of. And I can ace. I mean,
it's awkward. It is hard to deal with. So that's the list, guys. If you made it this far in the video, thanks so much for watching. If there are any decks that you know that we missed during the hiatus and want us to make profiles on, hit us up in the comments, join our Discord, let us know, and we'll see what we can do about those decks. But if you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Give us a like, a comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.